Welcome to Making Stuff with Chris DeHut. I'm Chris DeHut. In this project, we're going to take a look at what it takes to make an internet radio that also functions as an MP3 player. But first, let's take a look at some of the history about radios. Radio waves were discovered by Heinrich Hertz in 1888. That led to practical radios and transmitters, which were developed in the 1890s by Marconi, but didn't see commercial applications until the 1900s. The first radio news program was broadcast August 31st, 1920 by station 8MK in Detroit, Michigan. Sports broadcasting began at this time as well, including the College Football on Radio broadcast of a 1921 West Virginia versus Pittsburgh football game. Radios were in many homes by the 1930s and especially the 1940s. At that time, radios used tubes as opposed to transistors because they were not yet available. They used a lot of power but did have a very good sound. Some radios were large pieces of furniture and others could be placed on a shelf. Designers of that era between the 1920s and 1950s really took pride in creating something more than just a functional appliance. They pushed the boundaries of style, engineering, and materials. In the mid-1960s, transistors were replacing tubes in radios, which resulted in smaller sizes and radios that used much less power. Design transitioned into a phase of form following function, and pretty soon radios all looked plain and without character, which continues to this day. Today, internet radio is coming on strong, even though broadcast radio is still a major industry. MP3 players have also changed the way consumers prefer to listen to their favorite music. When I decided to make this project, I wanted the radio to reflect its history, and I wanted it to have a style and character that was much more appealing than the current offerings in the consumer market. My job forces me to travel, and one of the perks of that is you can go to museums that are normally not on your bucket list, primarily because they're too far away. A few years ago, while in Windsor, Connecticut, I was able to visit the Vintage Radio and Communications Museum. Like many small museums, this place is fantastic, and it is filled with preserved history for everyone to visit and appreciate. While there, I took photos of radios and other technology on display and used that for this design, even though I had no idea I was planning to make a radio. My style came primarily from looking at this photo with many radios. I pulled design elements from many of these and incorporated them into one design. I spent a few days in Fusion 360 and came up with this concept. It was something that could be 3D printed, and I could finish it and paint it to look like the materials of the time, primarily Bakelite. Bakelite was a form of plastic used in the 40s, and I recall seeing these things made of that material in my younger days. It just always fascinated me. The radio dial could be replicated with a digital display as long as I went through all the trouble to hide all the typical operating system controls, the close windows, the minimize, maximize buttons, the title bars, all that nonsense. So I just figured out a way to simply display what would have been a radio of that time period on the display. The controls could be minimized to just 2 knobs, which would be typical of many radios back in that time. While building Razzie the Robot, one of our other projects here on this YouTube channel, I implemented an MP3 player in it. So I used some of that technology and some of the components that I used in that project, such as the speakers and amplifier and some of the code, and that served as a jumpstart for the radio project. For this project, what I really wanted to do was do something to the next level per se. There's a lot of projects out there of internet radios or MP3 players made out of a Raspberry Pi and an Arduino. You pick the flavor of the microcontroller. But I really wanted to take something to the next level, put a lot of time and effort into the design of the unit itself, aesthetically, ergonomically. I wanted to go back to that period in time where radios had character. Appliances weren't bought just for function. They also decorated a home and became a very important part of the home. In fact, in the 30s, 40s, this is before the television became popular, the radio was really kind of the center of the home for entertainment. Now, to this day, I listen to music, all varieties of all types, so an internet radio is a great thing for me. And of course, having the capability to be an MP3 player, I get to play all my favorite tunes on it as well. Now, like most of the projects I do on my channel, I try to present as much information as I can and create something that's as informative to you as possible. Now, I never really intend for anybody to exactly copy what I'm doing. I'd be flattered if you did, but in reality, I want you to take what I've got and what I've offered and make it your own. Modify the colors, maybe re-engineer the enclosure, certainly play around with the software, make it do what you want, how you want, etc. Now, in this project, we've got, this is a 5-part project. It'll start out with this film here where I'm going to be talking about the project, the history of radios and all that stuff, which we've just covered. And then I'll show you how to use the radio, really quite simple. From there, you would go into the remaining series. Now, there is one step that I skipped on this project, and that has to do with how to take a 3D printed item that's made out of PLA and sand it smooth and prepare it for paint. That's a lot of processing, a lot of work to get it there. I've got a technique that's certainly not easy or fast, but it gets me the results that I like. A smooth, glossy surface that can be painted readily. Now, I've got another video on that from another project, and I'll reference that in the description below. However, the videos that we will be presenting specifically for this project are the painting process. I'm working with some new paints, at least new to me. They're Createx colors, they're water-based paints. I'm having some good results with it. I still got a lot to learn, but I'd like to share my experience with that. Then we'll go through the assembly of the electronics. You'll have a couple of very simple circuit boards to make, which are really nothing more than attached to the back of some rotary encoder switches, and then some wires and a few resistors hooked up to it. Quite simple. Don't worry about that too much. And then there's the assembly of the components, and what is a very important step is understanding how all the cables are connected. As with the Raspberry Pis, especially the older generations, this is going to be using a Raspberry Pi Model 3B+. It uses the large size HDMI connectors. Well, those at the ends of cables, that's a pretty large item. And when you've got a couple of cables in there and they're near each other and you got speakers and you got all this other stuff, getting that cable routing down is very important. So I've got things that you'll have to buy, certain right angle adapters that will make that project or that part of the project work for you. So you'll definitely want to pay attention in there. But we'll get all the electronics assembled on a little rack per se that mounts inside the enclosure. From there, we're going to go through and discuss the full assembly of the radio, talking about gluing together the plastic components, installing the brass inserts, threaded inserts, all the way through to buttoning up the back cover so that everything's concealed and nice and tight inside your radio housing. And then finally, I'm going to go through a very thorough explanation of loading in the dependencies for the radio, the different library packages that we have to load, and then I'll walk you through the program that I've written for it. Again, I cannot emphasize enough, I hope that you will take the time to first build this and then go through and, especially in the software, make it your own. Modify it, add some more features to it. You could add an alarm clock function to this. You can utilize the tuner button for another function. It's unassigned right now, so you could use that to switch between MP3 Player and radio mode, just a variety of different things. Have fun with it, make it your own. That's what being a maker is all about, getting some self-creativity in there. Hopefully I've provided you with this design and this concept and idea with a framework from which you can further create and make your own. Now let's take a look at how the radio operates. Operating this radio is like operating any other radio. You've got two dials. Left one is volume and power, and the right one is tuning. So we're going to press the volume button, and the radio will come to life. Volume control works like any other radio. Counterclockwise lowers the volume, clockwise increases it. To go to different stations, you'll rotate this dial. Clockwise will move you down the list. And then counterclockwise takes you up the list. And these are your internet radio stations. Now you'll see down here we've got a ×1, a ×10, and a ×20. If you have a lot of radio stations or a lot of songs that you have in your library, when you rotate this dial, that menu will come up and you can point at, it's a touchscreen system, and that will index by 10 the number of stations it'll move through for every click on your rotary encoder dial. So that's what these work here. That'll automatically hide. Now to switch to MP3 mode, you're going to hit this logo up here, and you'll have three buttons. You'll have MP3, radio, and off. Off stops our software and shuts down the Raspberry Pi OS. However, it does not turn off the power. We're currently in radio mode, but if I click MP3 mode, this loads up every MP3 song that I have stored on the flash drive that's plugged into the back of the radio. Now here's where rotating these dials can be somewhat a slow process. If we're on one song at a time, I've got over 1,000 songs here. I could be rotating this dial for a substantial period of time. If I want to get down to the bottom quickly, I click the ×200 or ×220 button, and I can get all the way down very, very rapidly. So that's what the purpose is for these buttons here, just to be a convenience for you. And then, of course, once you settle in on a song, you stop and wait for about a couple of seconds, then the song will automatically start playing. And that's true of the MP3 player or when in radio mode. Now, when it's in MP3 mode, it's going to start playing from the song that you selected, and then it'll automatically play the next one and the next one and the next one all the way through the whole list. When it gets to the bottom of the list, it'll come back to the top. So that's truly how easy it is to operate the radio, just like any other radio that's out there. We did add a few more functions hidden on the screen to make it a little bit more convenient, but I don't think that distracts from the character, look, feel, and operation of the radio to be somewhat of a vintage or a retro piece. I assume you, like almost everybody I know, takes great pleasure in listening to music. If not music, perhaps you listen to talk radio or sporting events, you name it, it's being listened to on radios, usually through regular broadcast or through internet radio. The great thing about internet radio is you not only get a greater variety, but you can get exposed to cultures other than what is in your locale. Here in the U.S., of course, all our music and our culture is based around what's very popular here. But if I want to listen to German music, not too easy to do. Japanese music, not very easy to do. Chinese music, can't do it. But on the internet radio, there are channels from all over the world that can expose you to their cultures and take you on an adventure without leaving home. Now, we've wrapped this internet radio up in a very nice package for you. It looks attractive. It's a very classic design from the 1940s, 30s, 40s, 50s, right in that era. And it would look great in any home. I really hope that you take the time to build this It's a fun and challenging project. You've got a lot of different things to work with and do, but it's perfect for the maker in you. I'm Chris DeHut from Making Stuff with Chris DeHut, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.